What's good, y'all? This your boy BioSpider 3.0, keeping the action going with the Spider-Man retro card, Walmart exclusive Prowler figure from Marvel Legends. All right, so here we are. We had our first look. We got to see him in the packaging. Got our little read up on him. Be sure to check that out if you have not. But yeah, I did show off the packaging in that video so that you can see what this guy looked like in it. But now we've got him out of box. I've had a chance to play around with him, and we are going to take a closer look and see what he's all about. And before we get into the review, I want to give a big shout out to my boy Joe. Thank you, Joe, for hooking me up with this figure. I'm not exactly sure where he got it, but I'll be sure to ask him and I'll let you guys know after the review. Looking online, I wasn't exactly sure about like what the retail price on this guy was, but looking online, it seems like he goes typically anywhere between 22 and 24 bucks. So I did see him for like $22.99. It was just kind of listed as like a general price for him. And then on Walmart.com, itself, I saw that he was going for $24.88. So if you can find him on Walmart.com and pick him up straight from there. I would also check out Mercari, see if they have some listings. I believe I did see a listing of him. I'm sure they have multiple of this guy. I'm sure, there's definitely multiple people trying to sell this guy, but pretty dope figure, man. I gotta say, I had some time to, of course, play around with it, and I really do like what Hasbro did with this figure, how they handled him. Just the overall buck that they use for the physique, the articulation functions pretty well, and the paint work is very nice in this figure. I gotta say that. So aesthetically, this guy looks great. But let's go ahead and get him onto the rotating display stand, and then we'll take a closer look at him. All right. So I have, all his accessories laid out on the stand, but we'll go ahead and just rotate him with the accessories on there. So bringing him in a little bit closer here. Here we go. So there is our Prowler figure, aka Hobie Brown. So to be honest, man, I really didn't know a whole lot about Prowler as a character growing up. I do remember in the Spider-Man 90s show, that I watched obviously as a kid growing up. I do remember kind of the episode a little bit where they like first introduced him as like a villain or somebody that, Spider-Man was gonna be interacting with at some point. And I do remember them like, briefly kind of going into his backstory. But I guess I just never looked like too deeply into it. But I did always think that he had a pretty cool suit design. And this is obviously, the version of him with the cape, which is probably like the most common that we see in Spider-Man. I know in Spider-Man Friend or Foe, for those of you that, know about that game or remember it, Spider-Man Friend or Foe was like a game where a lot of, Spider-Man's enemies became his allies. And they helped him fight against, the big villain in the game, which was Mysterio, of course. But I know that the Prowler in that game didn't have like a cape. So, and I thought that was a pretty cool look. I think he looks good without a cape as well. I tried removing the cape on this one. It doesn't seem like it's meant to be removed, but we'll get into all of that in just a second here. So, just going to let him come back one more time around here, and then we're going to take him off and get a closer look. All right. So taking him off, move this aside for now. Bringing Mr. Prowler in for a closer look. Yeah, man, overall, very, very nice details on this guy. I really do like how Hasbro handled him. Almost no fuzziness as far as the paintwork on this figure. I was like really looking around trying to find like any sloppiness or, messy spots of paint on him. And honestly, I really couldn't find any. I saw like one little thing of like black, it was like a black dot on the bottom of his cape, like somewhere like around here, but I was able to scrape pretty much almost all of it off with my fingernails. So I'm actually not even sure if he came out of the box like that or if that was something that got on him after I took him out of the box. But either way, it did end up coming off for the most part, so no biggie there. But yeah, overall, just very, very clean paint. I really do like the colors on this guy. You got the darker green for the majority of his outfit, and then the like lighter yellowish green for the symbol on his chest, the Prowler symbol. Lighter shade of purple on this release. I know there is a previous Prowler release in the Marvel Legends line that has like the darker purple, and I think that's what I'm like mostly used to seeing. So when I saw this release, I don't think I'd actually like seen this release until Joe got it for me. And I remember like the color of the purple kind of standing out to me as being like a little bit light. But you know, it still looks good. I think I do prefer the darker purple. Like if I had a choice between the lighter and the darker, I think I would definitely go for the darker purple. But you know, the light purple actually does look really good on him as well. It does, you know, have a nice balance and contrast with the green of his outfit, and yeah, it's a pretty nice color combination of the green and purple. So yeah, that's really dope. But taking a closer look at him, we'll bring him in here. I really like that this figure is done in like a mostly matte kind of finish, like very low gloss throughout like most of the figure. I would say the upper torso might even be a little more matte as compared to the like legs and whatnot. I think the legs have just like a little bit more gloss. So I'm not sure, you know, exactly why that is, but it does seem like, you know, the legs have a little bit more of a glossy finish, or maybe reflect light a little bit more than the, you know, say the upper half of the like torso. But as it is, it still looks really good, you know, very little gloss. And that actually goes a long way, especially for like the face sculpt here, because a lot of, you know, Hasbro face sculpts will have that glossy look, and it'll just make the figure look sweaty and or just, you know, kind of cheap overall. But honestly, yeah, matte finishes, I gotta say, man, they really do take the, you know, the figure to another level, because I was in Target and I saw some of the X-Men 97 you know, figures that they had, and the matte finish on their faces was just beautiful, man. It really did make the figures stand out in a way that, you know, just pops on the shelf, really sets them apart from other figures that you see that have that, you know, cheaper plastic look, like very glossy in the face. Like a truly matte finish on the face really does make a difference, man. So I just want to reiterate that. And yeah, I think they did a pretty good job with this guy. I mean, obviously he has like a little bit of shine to his face, but it's not nearly as much as some other figures that, you know, tend to look cheap because of that. But yeah, this is a really nice face sculpt too. I gotta say, I really do like, you know, this face sculpt. Very nice balance, I feel, between like realism and kind of like a cartoon animated look. Basically, you know, this is based on a comic character, so it does kind of look like, you know, a comic character come to life. Definitely kind of has like maybe more stylized or slightly animated features to the face, but at the same time, not enough to not look like a real person. So I really do like that. Really nice paintwork on the face, you know, color in the lips, the eyes, the eyebrows, everything is very nice and neatly painted. I love the skin tone and everything. I love the sculpt of the hair. All right, kind of got like this flat top type of look going, but very nice. Nice sculpts. And the hair is pretty much just, you know, one flat black color pretty much all the way through, but it is nicely sculpted. It does have like some texture to it to give it that kind of like afro type of texture, you know what I'm saying? Black people hair, but you know, very dope. That's what I'm talking about, Hasbro. So if you're gonna do it right. So that is very good to see. Here's a quick look at the back of the figure. Turn him all the way around though, so you can kind of get a good look at that face, man. That is a really nice head sculpt. So that's how it's done, Hasbro. That's what I'm talking about. But yeah, and then as far as if you want to see, obviously this is the back of the cape, which is also very nicely sculpted and painted in that kind of like lighter purple. The purple might look a little bit dark right now. That's only because, you know, the sun is starting to go down. I'm shooting this around like 4 o'clock, so it does, you know, the sun tends to set around like about like 5 o'clock now, so it gets dark a lot faster. But if I had like more sunlight, natural light coming in, it probably would, you know, light this guy up a little bit better. But yeah, kind of like a lavenderish color for the cape, and it's very nice, very nicely sculpted, nice folds and wrinkles and things in here. Yeah, maybe even like a slight black wash would fill out some of those, you know, wrinkled details a little bit more. But as it is, it looks, you know, fantastic. Very nice sculpt for the cape. If you lift that up, you can see his back underneath, which is also very nicely detailed. They didn't skip out, you know, they didn't just give him like a flat back. They definitely have like the muscle sculpted in there, even in his lower back. It's like, wow, he's really got, you can even like see like down like the middle, like where his spine would be. He's got some kind of like folding in of the suit and muscle sculpted in there. Obviously in the upper back as well, the shoulders, triceps, everything in the back looks, you know, really good. Just as good as the front. So very nice to see that. And there does seem to be a darker shade of purple on the inside of the cape. I would have just, you know, chalked it up to be like shading on top of like the same type of purple that was on the outside. But I was watching MCU Collector's review, and he said that I guess it is in fact like actually different paint, like a darker purple paint that they put inside of the cape. So, you know, that's nice. That gives it some nice variation, and you know, just helps it stand out on the shelf or wherever you decide to display this guy, if you do that. So that's dope. But yeah, like I said, very nicely detailed figure. The hands and these like little gauntlet pieces on the forearms, as well as these pieces down here, you know, on top of the boots, they are done in like a metallic type of purple. So they do kind of differentiate from the rest of the purple that's on them, which is like in a matte finish. These are like in a metallic purple color. So that also does help, you know, give it a pop, as well as the belt. Even the belt is kind of done in that purple metallic color. And for some reason, the belt on mine was a little offset when I got him out of the package. Like this little Prowler symbol on his belt was kind of to the side, like over here. But it is a floaty piece, so it does move around. So I just kind of, you know, adjusted it to try to get it, you know, centered. And something interesting that I found on mine, I don't know if this is like the same on every copy, but I don't know. It kind of seems like there's no actual line or anything drawn, like, you know, on the sides of this Prowler symbol, but it does almost look like they tried to like sculpt like lines for like, you know, like the center of the belt to kind of like keep this symbol, you know, closed in. And it seems like it's misaligned if that's the case, because you can kind of see it a lot more on this side. You can like see that line that's like running right there, and then not so much on this side. And it makes it look like the symbol itself is kind of shifted, you know, to, I guess, the left. You guys is right, but for me it'd be like the left of the figure. So yeah, I just wanted to point that out. I thought that was kind of interesting, but you know, just a little minor detail to point out there. But overall, still very, very nice paintwork. Again, like the symbol on his chest, very, very clean. I didn't really see any like paint fuzziness. Like the outline, the black border is very nicely traced around, you know, that inner light green part, and it's not bleeding into there pretty much at all. I mean, yeah, like all the corners and everything are pretty clean and crisp. So yeah, that looks fantastic. That really goes a long way when you've got clean paint on a figure. All right, but enough about the aesthetic. Let's go ahead and jump into play and display, and then I'll show you guys the accessories that it comes with. So for play and display, we'll start with the head articulation. He is on a ball peg, standard ball and hinge joint. The neck is not like a movable piece. It's stationary, so you know it's sculpted to the rest of the torso. But the head itself can look up really nice. He can crank his head back like basically all the way, so it gets like a perfect looking up face. And then looking down, same thing, very, very nice. It tucks all the way into like the folds of the cape in front of him. So yeah, tucks the chin in very nice. And again with the cape, very quickly, at first I thought it was like glued. This part was like completely glued onto him as I was like trying to move it, because I was wondering if maybe the cape was removable. And I did, while I was kind of like messing with it, I lifted up these front pieces right here, like just above his pecs. And I kind of heard like a little bit of like a snap or like a sound. And I think that was glue that I think his cape is actually like either glued in or pegged in to like around this area by the shoulders. And so because I noticed when I lift it on this side, I probably can't show it off on camera, but there is like a little peg or something like around this area, either glue or something that's like holding the cape in place right there. And once I saw that, I kind of like stopped, because I didn't want to like, you know, damage the figure and just rip the cape off. So I wouldn't suggest removing the cape on this guy unless it's something you really want to do. But I'm pretty sure the cape is meant to stay on him. So that's just a quick side note. But anyways, back to the articulation. Yeah, you can look up and down very well. Turn the head side to side, very, very nice. Obviously a full 360. He can tilt. He's got just a little bit of nuance posing, tilting in there, attitude, expression posing. That's very nice. And as far as the arms, we are on ball joints. So he is going to be able to, if you move the cape is going to get a little bit in the way, but you can technically rotate his arm all the way around. It is going to run into the cape, so I wouldn't maybe suggest that. There's no real reason you would need to windmill his arm, but you could technically do it if you push past the cape. But yeah, so very nice range, basically full 360 range in the shoulder. Arms, shoulders go out, to the side about that high, so a little bit better than a T-pose. Just a little bit better than 180 degrees out to the side, so that looks good. Very nice range there. He does have bicep swivel, nice bicep swivel cut in there, smooth joints, tight but smooth. Just be aware that his triceps are kind of big, so when you rotate, they might kind of run into the side of his body there, but you can just, move that out the way and keep rotating. He does have double jointed elbows that get that much bend, very, very nice. Good range for double jointed elbows. These little, gauntlet pieces on his forearms are loose. They are kind of like separate loose pieces on them, so you can like move and rotate these around. They do spin around his forearm on both sides. And then the hands themselves are kind of like in a gummy plastic. He's got like the claw hands straight out of the package. But yeah, you can rotate the hands from the hinge, and they are like on a horizontal hinge, so no vertical. He doesn't have any weapons, so he doesn't really need vertical hinges, but yeah, they do hinge in and out horizontally like that. And again, they're in like a kind of soft gummy plastic, so these claw hands shouldn't really like poke you. They're not gonna like hurt you or anything. They're not super sharp. But yeah, very, very nice. And then he does have a ab crunch joint, which is, nicely sculpted, preserves most of the sculpt, doesn't look too weird. And you can crunch him forward using that ab crunch about that far, just pretty decent. Crunching back about that far. And the symbol is continued in and has a pretty nice smooth sculpt even from the side. So he doesn't have like that kind of pregnant belly look that some Marvel Legends figures get sometimes. But yeah, pretty nicely continued there. So that is nice to see. And then he does have rotation at the waist, basically like right where the belt is. So, again, it being a floaty piece, it does kind of, you can move it out the way. If you want to like move it up, you can, but it basically is going to rotate right about where that belt sits. So you can rotate him side to side. Very nice range there. In the legs, he can kick up full 90 degrees, kicking forward, going backwards about that much. Very little range. The sculpt of the butt, very hard. It's not going to let him push any further past that. He does have a thigh swivel in there. Very nice thigh swivel cut. Very good. Double jointed knees that get him a really good bend going back almost to his lower back. Move the cape out of the way, but yeah, you can see you can bend back pretty far there. That is nice. Comes back down. You do have, you can actually, this is like a separate piece, so you technically do have boot rotation. You can even kind of see like some of the paint reaching just above these little, gauntlet things on his boots. But that is a separate piece, believe it or not. It is kind of tight, but you can technically rotate from there. So you do get like a tight boot swivel down there. And then you do get a hinge in the feet. So you can hinge all the way down to the tippy toes, hinge all the way up like that. Pretty nice. And then you do have a steep ankle swivel in there, ankle pivot. The foot itself doesn't really rotate side to side, but you do at least get that pivot in there. And then out to the side, he does not get a perfect splits, but he does get a pretty nice, pretty decent, I guess, range for out to the side. Maybe, I don't know if I can say decent. It's about like a 45-degree angle. And if you really push it, you can get it a little bit farther. But yeah, he gets about that much out to the side. But yeah, that's about it for his articulation. No butterfly joints or anything, but you know, obviously if you orient the hinge in the right way, you can get his arms coming in pretty close to the chest, and then you bend the elbows, you can get him in some kind of like cross arm poses if you want. You know, doing something like this, where he's got his claws. Maybe he's trying to look menacing or something like that. So you can bring the claws in pretty close to the center of the chest like that. Have him choking somebody out, you know. But yeah, very, very cool stuff. So let me go ahead and show you the accessories now. We'll get into the alternate head first, which is a very nice mask head sculpt, I gotta say. Doesn't really snap one or pop one. It just kind of like, you can tell when it's on. When it goes all the way down, you'll see it sitting on the neck to where it doesn't look weird. And that's how you know it's on all the way. Let me see, matter of fact, do this off camera real quick. Push it all the way down. Okay, yeah, I think that's on. So yeah, this is his alternate, you know, Prowler head sculpt, and it does look very, very nice. Again, that paint, the black paint for the eyes is very clean. The white of the eyes itself is also very, very nicely done. Try to see if I can get a little bit more light in here before the sun goes down. Let's see. Because it is rapidly getting darker in here, so I apologize if the, you know, the lighting seems to be changing. That is because the sun is setting on me fast. But yeah, hopefully you guys are still able to see most of the details. And again, very, very nice sharp sculpt for the mask. All the black paint is very nicely done. The white of the eyes, the purple of the mask, very, very nicely done. So yeah, nice menacing Prowler face for you right there. Very, very cool. And yeah, I just love the overall sculpt and look of this figure. I think if I'm thinking of adding like, you know, a light wash to him to bring out some of the details a little bit more. But yeah, overall, like a really nice sculpt. Like even without a wash, he does look pretty imposing and menacing. And you know, he's got some very nice articulation that would help him get into some great action poses. So that is great to see. And then his only other accessories are his alternate hands, which would be fist hands. So again, in the package, he comes with the claw hands already on him, and then he does have these kind of metallic-y purple fist hands as well. You can swap out if you want to do that. Some nice detail on these too. You can see around the knuckles, kind of got like some sculpted little rivet-looking things there. That's very nice. So yeah, you get 2 fist hands for each side. But yeah, and that's pretty much it as far as the figure is concerned. Let me see if I miss anything. Yeah, I think I mentioned pretty much everything I wanted to about this guy. So yeah, I'll keep this review, you know, a little bit shorter than to say some of the other ones. But yeah, I want to have plenty of time for size comparison. So let's go ahead and jump into that. I want to make sure, you know, I get a full outro on this review and don't have to rush my size comparisons like the last two. So yeah, I apologize for that, guys. I was making my first looks a little too long, and then I was running out of time on the actual reviews. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Waste no time here. All right, because I do want to say a few things to you guys before we close out. And he is a pretty well-balanced figure as well. I want to mention that. His legs can be a little bit awkward at times, but being that you have the thigh swivel, the boot swivel, and the kind of like ankle pivot in the feet, you should be able to get him in a pretty solid pose to where he's able to hold his weight up. The cape is kind of heavy. It does kind of want to like, you know, pull him back, but once you get his legs situated in a good, you know, position, should be able to, you know, hold his weight up pretty well. Wow, this little gauntlet piece just kind of came down, fell down, just push that back up. But yeah, he should be able to stand pretty well on his own once you find that sweet spot. Just kind of get him standing there. Dope, dope, dope. Oh, there he goes. As soon as I thought I got him. Let's see, let me mess with his feet a little bit. Might have to like lean him forward a little bit, but okay, I think I got him. Let's see. Don't you follow me. Don't you follow me? Got it? Good? All right. I think he's good now. So let's go ahead and do these size comparisons before it gets too dark in here and y'all can't see anything. So I know you guys probably want to see him compared with the Maximum Spider-Man. So first up, that'll be our first comparison. Here he is with Maximum Spidey. And you can see they scale pretty well. Prowler's actually a little bit taller, a little bit bigger than Spidey. A little bit bigger of a build, and definitely a little bit taller in height. So hopefully that's coming off well on camera. On his other side, we'll get the McFarlane Spider-Man from Toy Biz. And yeah, I think the McFarlane Spider-Man is a little bit taller than the Maximum, and it's a little bit closer in height with Prowler here. But yeah, you can see that now. So there's your two Spider-Man comparisons. Let's go ahead and pull in for another Marvel Legends. We've got the retro card Peter Parker with the Maximum Spider-Man Peter head sculpt on. All right. And we'll bring in the Netflix Luke Cage right here. All right, so you can see the three of them. I think they stack pretty nicely. I think that looks pretty good. And Peter's again a little bit shorter, which makes sense. He should be around the same height as Maximum Spider-Man. And then Luke Cage. Luke Cage is actually maybe just a little bit taller than Prowler. Luke Cage, Mike Coulter was a pretty big guy, pretty tall, and obviously buff. So I think that looks about right. So let's go ahead and move these guys. For some Black Series comparisons, we have the Kenobi figure from Kenobi, the Tiburon Station Obi-Wan right here, and a Black Series Reva from Kenobi right here. And yeah, see how they scale. Reva's actually not too much shorter than Prowler. Obi-Wan is a little bit shorter than each of them. I would say Prowler's actually like quite a bit bigger than Obi-Wan, just all around, height-wise and build. But it's not like Obi-Wan's buff or anything, so that makes sense. And this is like a comic hero character, so definitely should be bigger in proportion. Let's bring in some Lightning Collection. We have the In Space Pink Ranger right here. And let's see, do I have any more Lightning Collection? I guess it's just her today. I'll bring in a SH Figure Arts for the other side. We have the Mighty Morphin Green or Dragon Ranger right here. I think those look pretty good. Obviously much shorter. She scales all right. Definitely shorter than the Prowler. So there you go. For Mafex, I'll bring in our comic version Daredevil. And for a Jazzwares, I believe this was a Jazzwares figure, the Fortnite Cyclo figure right here. And yeah, I think those look pretty all right. What do you guys think? I think that looks pretty good. All right, so let's keep it moving. Let's see, we will bring in for a DC comparison. This is a Mattel, the DC Universe All-Stars Classic Batman, who is kind of like similar in build, even though he is a little bit shorter than Prowler here for sure. And then we have the Odious figure, Odious the Living Curse by Unparalleled Universe. Crap, I knocked him over. This freaking monkey thing, skull thing. But yeah, there we go. Okay, let me get him standing again. There he goes, falling. Okay, stand up, sir. Thank you. Matter of fact, just take this out, man. Just move this aside. Don't need it right now. But yeah, there is Odious next to the Prowler. And Odious is still the biggest one out of these, as he should be. He's like a Yeti, Bigfoot type character, so there you go. Alright, freaking cave characters, man. Always bumping into each other. But yeah, let me get him back up. Here we have the Toy Biz Sinister Six box set Green Goblin. And for another Marvel Legends Spider-Man character, we have Carnage. And oh my god, if I knock him down one more time, bro. Okay, here he is. Alright, so here he is with these two. Let's move these over. Let's back it up a little bit. All right, so there you go. There he is with those two, and I think that looks pretty all right as far as height. And just make him a little bit more centered here. Okay, there you go. All right, and to finish it off, for McFarlane comparison, we have the DC Rebirth Deathstroke right here, and we'll bring in. Let's see. We'll bring in Reed Richards, the Toy Biz Fantastic Four. Reed Richards, the movie version. All right, so there is those two. And I think that works out pretty well. All right, very nice. And we'll bring in, for some more Toy Biz, we have the Thing, movie Thing figure. This is the Crushing Clobber Thing. And then we have the Ares Build-A-Figure Wave Human Torch, which was a Walmart exclusive. All right, so very, very nice. Two Walmart exclusives next to each other, and I think they look pretty badass. Could definitely make that work in like a collab or a team up. Dope. And last but not least, here we have Black Series Cobb Vanth that we just looked at. I love this freaking figure, man. Love it so much. Very nice job, Hasbro, on both of these guys. All right, and then we have, we'll do this guy. We'll do the Jazzwares Cyclo figure. This staff, took a staff out of his hands. All right, so we get a better look there. And yeah, you can see Cyclo is definitely the biggest out of the three. But yeah, that's how he scales. So yeah, that's gonna do it for size comparisons. And that is gonna conclude my review. So really hope you guys enjoyed it. I want to take this time to say thank you to all you guys that have been watching the channel, subscribing. I have noticed that the subscriber count has been going up lately, so I just want to say thank you very much. I really do appreciate it, you guys. All the engagement that you guys have been giving me on the channel, all the questions and comments that you've been leaving, I really do appreciate. Each one that you leave, I enjoy, responding to those. And yeah, it's just really great stuff that you guys, great questions that you guys are asking too. It's nice to see that people are, genuinely interested in learning about figures and, best prices. And, I got you guys asking me my opinions on certain things. I really do appreciate that stuff. So thank you very much. Thank you for taking time out of your days to watch these reviews. And yeah, stay tuned because we have a lot more stuff coming. I know I've said it over and over. I just haven't had the time to really break down, make those videos, bringing the other stuff into play that I've been, mentioning. So that's why, the majority of what you've seen on the channel so far has been figure reviews. But I promise you, there will be more stuff coming very soon once I get more time. Just, between work and everything else right now, I don't have a lot of time to really make quality videos for those other things that I want to bring to the channel, but they are on the way, all right? So stay tuned for all of that. And I will be doing a giveaway very soon. So I think we're at 232 subscribers right now, but yeah, around Christmas, sometime in December next month, I will be doing a giveaway, my second giveaway on the channel. So make sure you're subscribed, make sure you're publicly subscribed, because that's going to be the only way that you win the giveaway. But yeah, one fortunate subscriber will be getting a dope figure that I've had for a little bit. So yeah, thank you guys for all of that. Sorry to ramble for so long, but thank you for watching this review. I'll see you in the next one. Take care, have a blessed day, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.